It's the SportsZone Unfiltered, brought to you by HEB.
Welcome back in, SportsZone Unfiltered on the KUBE. I'm Paul Gallant. He's John Lopez, and with us a special guest, a jack of all trades at Sports Radio 610. He hosts a show with Matt Murphy, former Texans tight end, 3 to 7 every Saturday on the program, and you see him in a bunch of other time slots as well. It's Cody Stoots. What's up, buddy?
How's it going, guys? Happy to be back as usual.
Pretty in Pink, you see him as well, and that's always good. A good movie, by the way. All right, let's talk Rockets. I don't know how much more we're going to be talking Rockets, to be honest, so it's a good time to kind of put a bow on the season, if you will. I know they still have a chance as we sit here of making the playoffs. We were talking about it on the radio show. I know you guys have talked about it as well. If the draft pick wasn't on the line, then I'd say go ahead, get to the playoffs, take a puncher's chance at maybe the Warriors or the Spurs, who knows. But because if they make the playoffs, they'll probably lose that draft pick. I say we're better off without the playoffs.
Yeah, you'd feel pretty good if you ended up somehow in the 6th spot. That's out of the question. There's no way they're going to play well enough to get to the 6th spot. And so the draft pick, for whatever it's worth, whatever it could be, at least it's an asset that Daryl Morey has something to play around with. He can get creative with it. He always does something inventive. And look, it may not be a valuable player right away, but he's stashed some guys over across seas before. That could be something useful. And look, you don't want to get fed to the Warriors, because how bad is it going to look for this team to go from Western Conference Finals against the Warriors, where they were almost competitive, to just a footnote in history on the way to the Warriors championship.
You mentioned the 6th seed, the Dallas Mavericks, ahead of the Rockets by 2 games entering Thursday night's game against the Phoenix Suns, who are dreadful, so the Rockets at least have that going for them. But you mentioned that series that could be potentially against the Golden State Warriors. This playoffs, the best case scenario for the Rockets, it serves as advertising to maybe, and keyword such a maybe, lure Kevin Durant's services from the Oklahoma City Thunder to here. And you're right. You don't want to be embarrassed by the Warriors. You don't want to be embarrassed by the Spurs either. You want to make this look like an appealing destination for Durant. That's what you're playing for at this point.
The best case scenario is you play 4 close losses and you end up stealing a game, maybe 2 from either one of those teams, and you look like you have a little bit of competence heading into the offseason. But I don't think that matters that much, because I think this team's going to get a makeover. It's a team that's built around shooting that can't shoot. I don't know how they built a team around 3 and D with no guys that can 3 and no guys that can really D on a consistent basis. It's just a poorly built team. So even if they show off well in whatever playoff run they have, they're going to be a different group next year.
So which team is it? I think I heard Paul talking about this one day. Are they closer to what we saw last year in the conference finals, or what we're seeing this year?
This team is pretty much a spitting image version of that team that lost to Portland. That team that lost to Portland was a little bit better in a Western Conference that was kind of unsettled, but that's what that team is. It's a team that doesn't defend consistently and then has a couple of offensive explosions to really make other teams' lives hells, but it's not the Western Conference Finals team. It's farther away from that.
And they're better. The conference is better.
Yeah, the conference is better. It's not that Western Conference Finals team that we saw.
It's like True Detective Season 1, True Detective Season 2 for those HBO enthusiasts. And I think, we're right in the middle of True Detective Season 2. Quite frustrating. You mentioned some of the guys that might be leaving this team next season. That means Corey Brewer. That means Josh Smith. Could also mean Dwight Howard. There will be a big makeover on this team. So I think the next couple of games, as they wrap this season up against a bunch of ham sandwiches, I think what they want to do is they want to get more KJ McDaniels involvement, more Clint Capella involvement.
Beasley.
Give those young guys, and Beasley as well, opportunities to show that they're going to be a part of this core for a team next year. And this is why they're so frustrating this year, Cody and John. It's a win against the Oklahoma City Thunder, where they rally in the 4th quarter, followed by a game against the Mavericks where they just look completely incompetent.
Well, and 2 of those young guys you'd like to have involved, Montrezl Harrell and Eric Decker. Decker's been hurt all year. Eric Decker, he's the wide receiver. Sam Decker's the small forward for the Rockets. Sam Decker, he's been hurt all year. He's probably not even going to play. Montrezl Harrell, he's stuck in the D-League. For some reason, this guy can't crack the lineup, despite energy and defense, which is what the Rockets consistently lack.
Well, you're right. It's gonna be a big makeover. I'm wondering, though, this team right now is disinterested and undercoached. I thought, though, the Mavericks game on Wednesday, they were just clearly outcoached. Now you're saying, you might be able to say, well, they had a shot there at the end. Yeah, but that was a Mavericks kind of game that they were lured into, and they weren't playing very well. So new coach, new players, James Harden stays. And that's about it, huh?
Pretty much.
I mean, who knows about some of these other guys you're talking about? Harold, maybe, but
everybody's on the table except for James Harden.
Yeah.
There's nothing that would get you interested in trading James Harden. And plus, he's going to need to be the forefront. I know he hasn't done this before. He's going to need to be the forefront at recruiting the next generation of superstar via free agency. And I don't think that's his strong suit. But if it is, if we find out that it is, then James Harden could pay off big.
Right.
You got to keep him around. Everybody else, hey, your job's on the line.
You mentioned interim head coach J.B. Bickerstaff.
I mean, they got to change.
I think they made a big mistake not attempting to find another name to come in here 11 games into the year. Yeah, it might have been a tough sell, but it was early in the year. Bickerstaff is clueless. He's just not good at his job.
I previously said I think Kevin McHale is worth about 4 more wins than J.B. Bickerstaff. Not with this team. Maybe it's 2, maybe it's 1 win.
Right.
Bickerstaff's just, I don't think he's very good.
Right, I agree.
He hasn't been a head coach before, which I think is a huge issue. Some of his rotations are just maddening.
Yep.
Guys will have great into the first quarter, and then they'll sit till the third quarter. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I totally agree.
They should have probably found a veteran guiding presence if they thought they were going to compete. They're not competing. They get to do a makeover on the entire roster. They get to do a makeover at the head coaching position. And I don't think it's out of the question they do a makeover at the general manager position either.
Ooh, some really quick final thoughts. The Rockets, 9th in the Western Conference, entering Thursday night's game against the Phoenix Suns. They are a game back of the Utah Jazz, 2 games back of the Dallas Mavericks, who, by the way, 7th seed, not the 6th seed in the Western Conference. Do the Rockets make the playoffs?
I don't think so, and I don't want them to.
I agree. I don't think so, and I don't want them to. And I think he's onto something with Daryl Morey. I think he's safe, but it's not as a sure thing as you might say.
That's Cody Stoots. You can catch him every Saturday afternoon from 3 to 7 with former Texans tight end Matt Murphy on Sports Radio 610. Up next, he's got a smoking hot take in Champs and Chumps. For my champ, we got to look at a guy who's taking baseball by storm in just his 2nd year.
Who might that be?
2 games into this season, holy guacamole. And my chump.
That's a hint, by the way.
The process didn't work, bro. We'll talk about both of those things next. Don't go anywhere. SportsZone Unfiltered wraps up next.
Don't go anywhere. The SportsZone Unfiltered will continue after the break.